Are you optimistic or pessimistic that the world will reach net zero emission by 2050? Optimistic. Really? That's like 2%. Pessimistic. Oh, Simon, you have to report this. All right. Next question. Do you think Indonesia should play a leadership role on the global stage on the issue of climate change? All right. Yuza, please tell this to President Prabowo. Thank you. Next. This is a bit sensitive, by the way. Oh, my God. Should Indonesia begin to develop nuclear energy? There's no right or wrong answer, but I'd just like to get a sense of this. Okay, that's about, 40%. Next, do you think there is double standard when it comes to global climate politics? Oh, Simon, you got to report this. Right? Almost everybody says yes. Next, do you think we can achieve President Prabowo's 8% growth and achieve net zero objectives at the same time? I believe we can. Yeah, I believe we can. This is the whole purpose of this. The next one is just to check if you are being truthful. This is very important. Who thinks Brad Pitt is better looking than Dino Djalal? Yeah. So, that's unbelievable. Only 2 people think Brad Pitt is better looking. I was expecting the whole hand up for Brad Pitt. So, wow. Sorry, my wife, you didn't tell me I was that good looking. So, look, there's been a lot of debate that we are heading towards World War III. And you know what? We are in the midst of a great world war. The enemy is not who you think. It's not a country. It's not an ideology. It's not a regime. The enemy is called climate change. This guy, Climate Thanos, yeah? You all know, you can relate to him, right? We all watch Marvels, right? He can do anything he wants. And this guy is the greatest enemy, the greatest warrior ever faced by the human race, right? And I'm not being dramatic on this, because this guy, Climate Thanos, can damage or destroy any nation on earth, and it can destroy our beautiful vision of Indonesia Emas 2045, Golden Centennial Indonesia in 2045, which is full of great things, great dreams, great vision. It will be ruined by this guy unless we can beat him. And this guy has many weapons in his arsenal: gelombang panas, typhoon, storms, floods, rain, fire, pasang surut air, polusi, dan banyak lagi. And this guy does not know the term ceasefire. And he attacks us every day, every hour, every minute, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. World War I lasted for 4 years. World War II lasted for 6 years. But Climate Thanos has been attacking us from 1820, when the Industrial Revolution began. And he can trick us, menyihir kita, hypnotize us into believing that he's not a threat, that he's not a danger. Right? But make no mistake that his objective is very clear. His objective is to enact mass destruction at the global stage by way of a 3 or 4 degree world. And in that sense, before you even realize it, life becomes unbearable. Nations will be damaged. Species extinct. You have food crisis, health crisis, lifestyle crisis, and future generations will be suffering. And the bad news is, as we stand here, we are not winning that war. The enemy is getting stronger. Climate Thanos keeps winning battles. Climate Thanos burned California, the elite of the world. It washed away Texas. As we said earlier, the first half of 2024 was the warmest year on record. Last year, it killed 1,300 people di Mekah sewaktu mereka naik haji. Indonesia is not yet facing the worst of it, but believe me, it will come to us, right? We are facing it a little bit here and there, but it will come to us because Thanos is very indiscriminate in destroying the enemy, which is the human race. And what worries us is this: we are living in an era of global distractions. There was a time when we were quite focused to address climate issues. But right now, we have a great distraction, and that leads to great derailment. Keluar dari jalur seperti kereta api. Now geopolitics is king, not economics, not globalization, right? Not climate change. Geopolitics is king. Countries are engaged in rivalries, mistrust, suspicions are at an all-time high, and because of that, they spend a lot on military armaments. $2.7 trillion last year alone were spent on armaments. This is a lot more than they spent for development and climate financing. There's a rise of populism that leads to climate denying. We are seeing economic hardships growing. We are seeing 60 countries, according to IMF, facing monetary crisis. Global debt predicted to reach, again, according to IMF, 117% of global GDP. And we have unending wars in Europe, in the Middle East, in Africa, and we are even seeing Cambodia and Thailand entering into worrying military clash along the border, right? So great distractions. Meanwhile, we have to face climate Thanos, who keeps attacking us every day. And with all this, no wonder a lot of people are saying, well, why bother with climate change, right? We got all these urgent issues today that we have to deal with. And that's another distraction that this guy, President Donald Trump, withdrew from the Paris Agreement, which really, in my view, is a big blow to global climate effort because the United States is the second largest emitter in the world. So I would say that we are in the midst of our climate Dunkirk moment. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen that movie or you know history, but this was the time when Hitler conquered all of Europe, no, most of Europe, and hundreds and thousands of British troops were caught in the area around Dunkirk. If these hundreds and thousands of British troops were not safe, they would be lost, they would be killed, and the British efforts to fight the Nazis would be futile, almost certain to lose, right? But what did they do? In the last hour of desperation, these hundreds and thousands of British troops were saved through imaginative ways, and the troops went back to England, and the momentum to save the world from fascism gained ground and succeeded. So that was the climate Dunkirk moment that we have now. I do believe that we can still turn things around, despite all the losses and despite all the wins that climate Thanos has gained in recent times. What are some of the good news that make me and Simon optimistic, right? Renewable supply in Brazil. 90% already come from renewables. Electricity power in Brazil, 90% already from renewables, right? We have some Brazilian participants here. Can I ask you to stand up, our Brazilian participants? Yes. The International Energy Association reported that investment in clean energy reached $2 trillion in 2024, twice the investment in fossil fuel. ASEAN is working now on a trade deal, the next level trade deal that includes circular economy, the first kind of regional trade deal that includes circular economy. Over 140 countries have now committed to net zero emission by mid-century. India, I got this from Yusa, India hit 50% non-fossil power milestone 5 years ahead of 2030 clean energy target, right? And now renewable account for 90% of new power capacity globally in 2024. And the world added over 500 gigawatt of renewable capacity last year, record led by China, EU, and India. And we talk about rivalries. I know it's a difficult thing, but look, EU and China just made a deal just very recently where they addressed issues on renewable carbon market, emission trading, low carbon technology, and others. And during Prime Minister of Australia Albanese's visit to China, they made a deal, a trade deal on decarbonized steel or green iron, despite the rivalries that we see between these countries. And most heartwarmingly, ICJ, International Court of Justice, just came out with a ruling saying that climate change is a human right, and every nation has a legal obligation to ensure that we will not head deeper into climate catastrophe. And the remarkable thing is that all the judges, I think 14 of them, there's not one dissension on this ruling. Everyone agreed that climate change is a right of every human being and that nations are legally obliged to save the world from climate catastrophe. So let's give a big hand to ICJ. Now, for us in Indonesia, the best good news or the best news comes from President Prabowo Subianto himself. Right? In Rio, just recently, President Prabowo Subianto has made a statement that Indonesia, under his leadership, would achieve 100% renewable within 10 years. And again, if any of you think that's impossible, look at Brazil, 90% renewable. And that's not it. Iceland, Paraguay, Nepal, Ethiopia, Democratic Republic of Congo, Bhutan, these are countries that have achieved 100% renewable. And if Indonesia achieves that, that means the two large middle powers of the world, Brazil and Indonesia, one of the most consequential countries in terms of global emission, will have achieved a very important goal that we hope developed countries can also follow. Right? So these are the good news. What are our hopes for the Indonesian government? Just very quickly. One, more ambitious NDC. NDC ini target komitmen pengurangan emisi nasional. It's supposed to be submitted in July. We hope, Simon, it's going to be a very ambitious one. Because if we want to be a leader, it has to be an ambitious NDC. Next, we hope there will be a cabinet meeting to reach coordinated multi-sectoral policies on climate change in order to reach this 100% renewables. Because a great concept that requires strong policy implementation. Next, we have to ensure PLN, we'll have somebody from PLN speak later, is fully aligned with President Prabowo's 100% renewable energy ambition. Right? I know there have been a lot of political issues, technical issues, economic issues, business issues, and so on, so that it's very hard to get energy, renewable energy, rising in our energy mix. It remains stuck at about 12 or 13%. But I think the situation is different now. I think PLN has to be fully aligned and implement President Prabowo's 100% renewable goal. We have to ensure that government's economic priorities, whether end makan bergizi gratis, 3 million new homes, food security, and all that, they are fully aligned with our net zero ambition. Establish a presidential climate council directly under President Prabowo to ensure strong policy delivery, because a lot of these things can get lost in bureaucratic competition or lack of action. Be part of a coalition of climate progressive countries, ensuring the success of COP in Brazil. I think, look, we've had many presidents with different legacies. President Sukarno delivered independence. President Suharto delivered development. SBY, Gus Dur, Habibie, they delivered democracy and reformasi, right? President Joko Widodo delivered infrastructure, right? I think President Prabowo's historic legacy at the end of his first or second term should be that as a net zero climate president. So don't forget your North Star. Yeah, this is for the generation net zero. You will have a lot of discussions, technical discussions today, but don't forget that at the end of the day, what you have to do and achieve is a world, dunia iklim nyaman dan aman, right? Because none of us can live in a 3 or 4 degree world. So whatever you do, individually, as a company, in a community, as a country, as regional organization, that is our North Star, right? Everything else is under that goal of achieving dunia iklim yang nyaman dan aman bagi kita semua. And my last point is this. Look, I told Simon today that we didn't even advertise on this. You don't see advertisement for this event, right? But all of you come because of word of mouth. I was here at 7 in the morning today, and all of you lined up outside for 2 hours to get in, right? And there are people here sitting down, right? Listening with great interest, because this is about you, this is about your future, right? But what you need to know is this: you are the most consequential generation. You know what I mean? Right? Like my father's generation delivered independence, freedom for all of us, right? Another generation saved the world from World War II, from fascism, from tyranny, right? This is the most important battle in human history, not just for Indonesia, right? And this war is for you. And you cannot just accept the trophy. You have to be part of the war, part of the struggle, right? So you, right, not my generation, you are the most consequential generation in Indonesia's history, right? And you have to live up to that promise, right? You have to live up to that historical call, right? So I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for coming, and let's have a good discussion today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wow. Tepuk tangannya lebih meriah lagi hadirin sekalian for the one and only Bapak Dino Patti Djalal.